Fat loss has been misunderstood for years, and the truth might surprise you. Most people believe the only way to lose weight is by eating less and pushing harder in the gym, but there is a hidden factor working behind the scenes, controlling whether your body stores fat or burns it for energy. That factor is insulin. When insulin stays high, your body holds on to fat. When insulin stays balanced, your body finally starts letting go. Now, here is where things get interesting. There are simple, everyday habits that can quietly control insulin without extreme dieting or exhausting routines. These habits are backed by science and explained by experts like Jessie Inchauspé, who has shown how small changes in the way you eat can completely shift how your body responds to food. Even more surprising, these natural strategies work in a way that is similar to how medications like Ozempic help regulate blood sugar and support fat loss. In this video, you are going to discover 5 powerful insulin tricks that most people overlook. These are not complicated or expensive, they are simple adjustments you can start using today. You will learn why the order of your food matters more than the food itself, how a short walk after meals can change your metabolism, and why combining certain foods can stop fat storage before it even begins. There's also a surprising trick involving something you already have in your kitchen that can reduce sugar spikes in your body. As this video continues, each tip will build on the last, giving you a complete system to control your insulin naturally. By the end, you will see food in a completely different way. You will understand why some people lose weight easily while others struggle despite trying everything. And more importantly, you will have practical tools to start changing that for yourself. Make sure you stay until the end, because the final trick is one of the most unexpected yet powerful methods to control insulin, and very few people are actually using it correctly. Missing it could mean missing a simple shortcut to better fat burning. This is where things begin to shift. This is where confusion turns into clarity, and effort starts giving real results. Welcome to our channel, where we break down complex health ideas into simple steps you can actually follow. If you want more content like this that helps you take control of your body in a smarter way, make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey. For many people, losing weight feels like an endless battle. They cut calories, skip meals, and push themselves through workouts, hoping to finally see results. At first, there is motivation and discipline, but after some time, the scale barely moves, or even worse, it goes back up. This creates frustration, confusion, and even self-doubt. It starts to feel like something is wrong with their body. They begin to wonder why others seem to lose weight more easily, while they are stuck doing everything right with little to show for it. The common advice has always been simple: eat less and move more. On the surface, it sounds logical, but for many, this approach turns into a cycle of restriction and exhaustion. Energy levels drop, cravings increase, and the body starts fighting back. Hunger becomes stronger, willpower becomes weaker, and sticking to a plan feels harder every day. It is not a lack of discipline, it is something deeper that most people are never told about. Behind the scenes, a hormone is constantly influencing this process. That hormone is insulin. Every time food is eaten, especially foods high in sugar or refined carbohydrates, insulin levels rise. This is a normal response, but the problem begins when insulin stays elevated for most of the day. Frequent snacking, sugary drinks, and processed foods keep insulin high for long periods. When this happens, the body receives a signal to store fat instead of burning it. This is where the real struggle begins. A person can be eating less and exercising more, yet still find it difficult to lose fat because their body is stuck in storage mode. The effort is there, but the internal environment is working against it. This is why progress feels slow or completely blocked. It is like trying to move forward while something is quietly holding you back. Understanding this changes everything. It explains why traditional methods often fail and why the journey feels so frustrating for so many people. For a long time, fat loss has been explained as a simple equation of calories in versus calories out. People are told to count every bite, reduce portions, and stay within a strict limit. While this idea sounds clear and easy to follow, it often leaves out a deeper layer of how the body actually works. The human body is not a basic calculator. It is a complex system driven by hormones that constantly decide whether energy should be stored or burned. This is where the real shift begins. Instead of focusing only on calories, it becomes more important to understand how hormones respond to the food you eat. Among these hormones, insulin plays a central role. It acts like a gatekeeper. When insulin levels rise, the body moves into storage mode, holding on to fat and using incoming food as its primary energy source. When insulin levels stay lower and more stable, the body gains access to stored fat and begins using it as fuel. This change alone can completely alter the way fat loss happens. This means two people can eat the same number of calories, yet experience very different results depending on how their hormones respond. One person may store more fat, while the other begins to burn it more efficiently. The difference is not just how much they eat, but how their body processes it. Food choices, meal timing, and combinations of nutrients all influence this hormonal response, especially when it comes to insulin. Once this idea becomes clear, the focus starts to shift away from strict restriction and towards smarter eating patterns. It becomes less about constantly cutting food and more about creating the right internal environment. Small changes begin to matter more than extreme efforts. The body responds differently when insulin is kept under control, and fat burning becomes a more natural process rather than a constant struggle. This way of thinking removes the pressure of chasing lower calories every day and replaces it with a more strategic approach. Instead of fighting against the body, the goal becomes working with it by understanding the signals that drive fat storage and fat burning. One of the most common habits that quietly works against fat loss is eating what can be called naked carbohydrates. These are carbohydrates that are consumed on their own, without any protein, fat, or fiber, to slow down how quickly they are absorbed. Foods like biscuits, fruit juice, white bread, sugary snacks, or even a plain bowl of refined cereal fall into this category. They may seem small or harmless, but inside the body, they create a very rapid reaction. When these foods are eaten alone, the sugar from them enters the bloodstream very quickly. This sudden rise forces the body to release a large amount of insulin in a short time. The role of insulin here is to bring blood sugar levels back down, but in doing so, it also signals the body to store energy as fat. This quick spike, followed by a sharp drop, often leads to another problem. Energy levels crash, hunger returns faster, and cravings for more sugar begin to build. It becomes a cycle that repeats throughout the day without being noticed. This pattern is especially common during busy routines. Someone might grab a biscuit with tea, drink a glass of packaged juice, or snack on white bread between meals. These choices are easy and convenient, yet they keep insulin levels rising again and again. Over time, the body spends more hours in storage mode instead of fat burning mode. Even if the total amount of food does not seem high, the way it is eaten continues to push the body towards storing fat. A small adjustment in how carbohydrates are eaten can completely change this response. When carbs are combined with protein, healthy fats, or fiber, digestion slows down, sugar enters the bloodstream more gradually, and the insulin response becomes smaller and more controlled. For example, adding eggs or yogurt with bread, pairing fruit with nuts, or including vegetables alongside a meal creates a more balanced effect. The same food can lead to a very different outcome depending on how it is combined, and this difference plays a powerful role in how the body manages fat storage throughout the day. A simple shift in the way meals begin can quietly change how the body responds to food. Starting with vegetables creates a powerful effect that most people overlook. Vegetables are rich in fiber, and this fiber forms a kind of natural barrier in the digestive system. When you eat them first, they slow down how quickly sugar from the rest of the meal enters the bloodstream. Instead of a sudden rise in blood sugar, the increase becomes more gradual. This leads to a smaller insulin response, which keeps the body from switching too quickly into fat storage mode. Something as basic as eating a salad or a few bites of vegetables before the main meal can begin to change the entire metabolic reaction. The way foods are combined also plays a major role. Carbohydrates on their own tend to digest quickly and raise blood sugar fast, but when they are paired with protein or healthy fats, the process slows down. Protein and fat take longer to break down, which helps steady the release of glucose into the bloodstream. This keeps energy levels more stable and prevents sharp insulin spikes. Adding eggs, chicken, yogurt, nuts, or healthy oils alongside carbs can turn a meal into something far more balanced. It is not about removing foods, but about building meals in a smarter way that supports the body instead of stressing it. Movement after eating adds another layer to this approach. A short walk, even just 10 minutes, can make a noticeable difference. After a meal, glucose begins to circulate in the bloodstream. Light movement encourages the muscles to use that glucose right away for energy. This reduces the amount of sugar that remains in the blood and lowers the need for a large insulin release. It is a small habit, but when repeated consistently, it helps the body stay in a more balanced state throughout the day. At the same time, avoiding naked carbohydrates becomes important. Foods like biscuits, juice, or white bread, when eaten alone, cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin. Pairing them with other nutrients or adjusting how they are eaten can reduce this effect. Another lesser known method involves using a small amount of vinegar before meals. About 1 tablespoon mixed with water can help slow down the rise in blood sugar. This leads to a more controlled insulin response and supports a steadier internal environment as the body processes food. There has been a lot of attention around medications that help with weight loss by targeting blood sugar and insulin, and one of the most talked about is Ozempic. The reason it has gained so much popularity is because it works with the body's internal system rather than forcing extreme restriction. It helps regulate how the body handles glucose, reduces sharp spikes in blood sugar, and keeps insulin levels more controlled. This creates an environment where the body is less focused on storing fat and more capable of using it as fuel. For many people, this shift makes weight loss feel easier and more consistent compared to traditional methods. What often goes unnoticed is that the core mechanism behind this effect is not something completely foreign or artificial. It is based on natural processes that already exist in the body. The difference is that the medication enhances and stabilizes those processes. When blood sugar stays balanced, insulin does not rise as sharply or as often. This alone changes how the body decides what to do with energy coming from food. Instead of constant storage, there is a better balance between storage and usage. This is where simple daily habits begin to connect with the same idea. Small changes like eating fiber first, combining foods properly, moving after meals, and avoiding rapid sugar spikes all work along the same pathway. They support stable blood sugar levels and reduce unnecessary insulin surges. While the effect may feel more gradual compared to a medical approach, the direction is very similar. The body is guided toward a state where it can access stored fat more easily, rather than being locked in a cycle of constant storage. Another important part of this connection is sustainability. These habits fit into everyday life without requiring extreme measures. They do not rely on strict limitation or intense routines. Instead, they adjust how the body responds to normal eating patterns. Over time, this creates a more stable internal environment where energy levels remain steady and cravings begin to settle down. The focus shifts from forcing results to allowing the body to respond naturally through better control of blood sugar and insulin. At some point, a quiet realization begins to take shape. The struggle was never just about eating less or pushing harder every single day. The constant cycle of cutting calories, ignoring hunger, and relying on willpower starts to feel less like a solution and more like a trap. The body has been sending signals all along, but they were often misunderstood. Hunger was seen as weakness, cravings were treated as a lack of discipline, and slow progress was blamed on effort. But there is another way to look at it, one that feels more aligned with how the body actually works. Instead of fighting against hunger, the focus begins to shift toward understanding it. The body is not trying to make things difficult, it is reacting to the signals it receives. When blood sugar rises quickly and drops just as fast, hunger naturally follows. When meals are unbalanced, energy becomes unstable. This creates a pattern where the body keeps asking for more, even when enough food has already been consumed. It is not about a lack of control. It is about how the system is being influenced from the inside. A different approach starts to feel more natural. It is not built on restriction or constant pressure. It is built on making smarter choices that guide the body into a more stable state. Choosing foods that slow down sugar absorption, combining nutrients in a way that supports steady energy, and allowing the body to process meals without overwhelming it all begin to change the experience. Hunger becomes more predictable, cravings lose their intensity, and energy levels start to feel more consistent throughout the day. This shift removes the feeling of being stuck in a constant battle. It replaces it with a sense of control that comes from understanding rather than forcing. Eating becomes less about strict rules and more about simple patterns that support the body. The pressure to always eat less starts to fade, and in its place comes a quieter confidence that the body can respond in a better way when it is given the right conditions. Now, it comes down to something simple and personal. Out of all these small changes, which one feels the easiest to start with today? It could be as basic as beginning your meals with vegetables, or adding protein to balance your plate, or even taking a short walk after eating. Everyone's routine is different, and the best results often come from starting with one step that fits naturally into your day. There is no need to change everything at once. One small shift, done consistently, can begin to change how your body responds over time. Sharing your choice can make that first step feel more real. When you put it into words, it creates a sense of commitment. So take a moment and drop your answer in the comments below. It is always interesting to see which habits stand out the most and how different people approach the same goal in their own way. Sometimes seeing others take action can also give that extra push to stay consistent and keep going. This space is about learning and growing together through simple, practical ideas that actually fit into real life. There is no pressure for perfection, only progress through small and steady changes. If this kind of approach makes sense to you and you want more content that breaks down health and fat loss into clear and easy steps, then staying connected can make a big difference. You can support this by liking the video, which helps more people discover these ideas, and by subscribing to the channel to keep getting useful tips that are easy to understand and apply. Each new video is designed to build on what you already know, helping you move forward without confusion or overwhelm.